Hey, Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. Well, what is going on? I thought I'd come here and just surprise you today with a live broadcast. You know, sometimes I just like to change it up here at Spirit Channel. I see we got Lady Carol over in the chat. Hey, Lady Carol, how you doing? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Yay. Well, here you guys are. I think we'll have a few more people coming in, hopefully in a few minutes, Lady Carol. But I'm glad you're here. And today it's Friday, which is Free for All Friday. So today I thought I would change it up. I thought we'd have, when more people get here, we'll have a little reading from the PsychicBob's Book of Wisdom. We're going to talk about that today and talk about some other magical things. Hey, yay, Ryan's here. Hi, Ryan. Good to see Ryan Erard. Jose A is here. Yay. Ann Alan's here. Yay. Thank you. Alan, excuse me. Moon Mother's here. Hey, Catherine. Yay. YouTube notified me real quick, says Jose. Well, I'm really glad about that. Hey, Colleen Croy. Good to see you. Did I surprise y'all? I really wasn't planning a live broadcast, and then I decided at the last minute, you know what? I just feel like coming here and hanging out with you guys. Hold on. I got to turn off these. Hold on a second. I'm having some problems here. Hold on a second, just guys. Let's see if I turn these notifications off. Anyway, sorry about that. Yay, it looks like we got a lot of people here. Yay, Vamp Girl's here. Rising Storm Tarot is here. That looks so cute on you. You like my witch hat? How you guys like that? Yeah, today I'm wearing my witch hat. I thought I'd put on my white witch hat because it's so hot here. And I thought white's a nice, cool, kind of summery color, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? Jose A says, for some reason, YouTube loves to notify your channel way quicker than my other subs. Well, I'm just glad you guys are getting notifications, because for a while they weren't even distributing anything. Hey, Moon Mother. Moon Mother says, what a lovely surprise. You're so sweet. Well, Psychic Bob just got to come hang out with you sometimes. And I thought we'd do a little reading from my book here. Let's let everybody kind of get in here. Okay, we're going to talk today about Psychic Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. This is a book that I wrote a few years back. When did I write this? It was in 2015. Gosh, has it been that long? Hold on, I can't read my own writing here. I thought it was sooner, but maybe it was 2015. Oh my God. Yeah, so we're going on 5 years. I thought this book was newer. But anyways, it never really goes out of date. Okay, Lady Carol says she needs to restart. Be right back. Okay, Lady Carol, we'll see you in a few minutes. Wow, Brandon Ricketts said he got the notification. Debbie Webby's here. Yay. Good to see all of you. Well, anyways, I had to put on my witch hat today because I just felt like it. I have to tell you guys, be honest with you, I've had a really rough day. That's why I haven't been able to get to you guys till now. It's a little later than I like to put out a video, but last night, Psychic Bob hurt his back. I don't know what I did. I actually think I may have heard it a few days before. I didn't know it. My brother, who you guys a lot of you met, Mark Patterson, my brother, he has back problems. And I've never been one to have back problems, but I don't know. I've been moving stuff around the house. I don't feel like I strained anything. Like I don't have any memory of hurting myself. But yesterday I was sitting and doing a reading, and at the end of the reading, I just started to get out of my chair and my back just literally seized up on me. Oh my God, the pain. It was horrible. I mean, it wasn't as bad as some people. Like I didn't have to go to the hospital, but I was seriously having problems walking yesterday. I tried to lay down on the floor because when you lay on a hard floor, it's good for you. Even laying on the floor didn't help. So I was in really bad shape. I'd say on a scale of 10, like 10 being the worst, at one point, I was about a 7, so it was pretty severe. And I thought about maybe I might have to go to the hospital if it didn't improve. But luckily, I was able to, last night in the evening, lay down a while and rest it. It's still, today it's about a 2 on the pain scale. So I've taken some Advil. I had to get some painkiller. I'm okay. But like as long as I sit and I'm straight, like aligned, I don't have the pain, but it's still a little sensitive walking. Thank you for your concern. Oh no, Moon Mother says. Um, Sorry to hear, Psychic Bob. Please take care. Thank you, darling. Debbie Webby says, I'm excited to catch you live on a Friday. Yeah, you usually don't broadcast live on Friday, but I'm here. Thank you so much. Maria Stupid Lopez. Oh, so sorry. Hope you feel better. Thank you, darling. You're so sweet. Thank you. Well, guys, don't panic. Psychic Bob's okay. Warren 81. Hey, Warren 81. Warren 81 says Advil is good. Now, I'm not being endorsed by Advil, but I have to tell you, my brother, Mark, is an expert on back pain because he actually was in a car accident several years ago and had spine damage. He's recovered since then, but he occasionally still has severe back issues. And I last night was in so much pain, I said, I don't know what to do. Oh my God. Should I go to the hospital? How do I relieve the pain? Nothing would relieve the pain. The only time I didn't have pain is if like I would sit and I would stay in one perfectly still position. The back wouldn't hurt or seize up. But if I tried to walk, get out of my chair and walk, oh my God, any of you have ever had back pain? Listen, Psychic Bob is a total sympathizer for you. I called my brother because I said, well, gosh, what do I do? And my brother said, well, have you tried to lie flat on the floor? I said, I have, but it's not really working. He said, wow, that must be bad because usually it works pretty quickly. And he said, do you take Advil? I said, I don't have any Advil in the house. And I was in such pain just to walk. I have to walk to CVS, right? Even on a good day, CVS is a nightmare. But in that pain, trying to walk to CVS and go deal with that drama, it was more than I could handle. So I said, I just can't even deal with that tonight. So I literally laid, I don't know what the word is. I was flat on my back. So when I went to bed last night, I tell you, I think, pain really exhausts you. Hey, Stranger Things, good to see you. I have back pain now. I am so sorry. Listen, if any of you got back pain, Psychic Bob is with you. Psychic Bob is totally with you, But, when I was lying on the floor last night, I think I was just purely exhausted from all the pain yesterday because it went on like since about 4 p.m. I went to bed, right? And I was like, how you get in bed and you like lay in a certain position? Well, I realized that if I would stay in one position, the pain would stop. So I stayed totally still in that position. I guess I fell asleep. I don't think I moved all night. I woke up this morning and I was still in the exact same position. I had not even moved. So that's how out of it I was. I crashed deader than dead. But anyways, I'm doing a lot better. My brother was right, by the way. Sleeping on the floor really, really helped it. And so I'm okay. Thank you, Moon Mother. Moon Mother says, poor thing. I have sciatica pain. I've had it for years. It's worse when I go to bed. I'm kind of used to the pain. Moon Mother, I don't know if sciatica is the same. I don't know what I got. Mine was more like lower, like lumbar pain, rather than sciatica. But I don't know. Maybe sleeping on the floor might help you. I like sleeping. I actually sleep on the floor a lot of times anyways, just because I like it. I had a few years ago a back problem, not like this severe, but just a little irritation. It was from my bed and I threw out my mattress and my life got better. So I sleep on the floor a lot, Hey, David Jan. Good to see you. David Jan's all the way here from Israel. Yay, Israel. I like Israel. They're a cool country. I've not been there, but everybody I know that's been to Israel loves it. And I just think it's really a cool sort of place. Anyways, I'd like to go to Israel. There's a lot of mystical things in Israel, I think there are secrets under the Temple Mount. David Jan, have you been to the Temple Mount, in Israel? Was that in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv? I forget where it is. I'm just curious. Because I think there's secrets under the Temple Mount, like the Ark of the Covenant might be there. I have a speculative sense that this Ark of the Covenant is still in Israel somewhere. Anyways, Brandon says, I got a memory foam mattress. Brandon, I'm actually thinking about that. There's a mattress store up by Fox Chase, where I go up to Walgreens, right next to it is a mattress store. They sell memory foam there. So I'm going to look into that, you know. Thank you, Angelic Borman, 1979. Sorry to hear about your back, sending healing. Thank you so much. You know, I was trying to do Reiki on my back last night. I just think I was in too much. I really wasn't good at, you know, healing myself at that point, but I do appreciate it. So anything you guys can send my way, I really appreciate, energy wise and prayer wise and healing wise and Reiki wise, you know. Um, yes, Lady Carol was talking about heating pads. Yeah, I need to get that. I need to get a heating pad. Last night, you know, it's funny because I've never had back pain. I don't really, I wouldn't say, I honestly never keep medicines in my house because honestly, I'm never sick. I have like really good fortune that way. I used to keep aspirins in my house and I really should because of heart issues. But, you know, I didn't have any ibuprofen or Advil. And my brother said that that works for him the best. And I trust him. So I figure, you know, my brother uses it, works because he's had serious back stuff. I'm going to do it. And, you know, I did went out today. I had to go to CVS. Can you believe it? Ugh. But anyways, I got through it and I got an Advil. So I'm happy. Anyway, so here we are. But anyways, also I want to show you guys a few really cool things. I don't know if I've shown this to you. So I don't want to talk about my back because thank you for your prayers, but I'm trying not to focus on it too much. Y'all don't need to hear about my back, but now you know, okay? So that's why I haven't got out a video. I've really been healing today. I've not been walking a lot or sitting a lot. I'm just kind of alternating between lying and sitting and a little bit of walking. Anyways, so one of the things I got recently, which is kind of cool and mystical that I don't think I've shown it to you, or if I did, I don't remember, is check this out. I got a whole story behind this. Do any of you guys recognize what this item is? Let me come a little closer. This is what is known as an Amish hex sign. Not hex in the term of evil or kill. Hex in this more of a general sense of magic. It comes from Pennsylvania, where the Amish are. They call it Pennsylvania Dutch hex sign. And the Amish folk there make these because, interestingly, even though they're conservative Christians, there are branches of the Amish who still believe in the old Germanic and Dutch folk ways of magic. And this is such a Wiccan looking symbol, isn't it? A giant pentagram. Anyways, I wanted you to see this because I got this recently. And the reason why this is really significant is one, well, you know, I collect anything with stars on it, okay? So I saw this and I just had to have it because I love stars. You know, I got my big star back here. By the way, Brandon, were you the one that asked me about communism in China, about YouTube? We got to talk about that too later. But I got my big red star here to keep YouTube appeased because they're very pro-communist these days. But anyways, I love stars, and I saw this online, and I bought it on Etsy. Actually, I think it was on Etsy. Yeah, but yeah. Marie Renee Steuben says Thor also has signs. Have hex signs. That's cool. Yeah, Thor. Yeah, he's part of all this. So, anyways, out of the Germanic European culture, they have the old pagan ways use these signs. And we have the Wicca, of course, recognize the pentagram. Now, the reason why I had to have this, though, I had to tell you, I tell you the personal story behind it. Oh, Brandon, that wasn't you. Okay, well, we'll come back to that in a minute. Anyways, I'd have to tell you a story about my red star, why it's so important right now. But anyways, when I was a kid growing up in the 1970s, our family used to take a trip every year up to Pennsylvania. Let me come a little closer here to the Amish country. Do you guys know the Amish country in Pennsylvania? It's where they have a big Amish community, Bird in Hand. I forget all the names of the towns up there, but there's a little cluster of villages that are Amish, and they do Amish folk crafts and arts. Okay. And anyways, when I was probably a kid, about, I was about 8 or 9 years old, I guess. Gosh, we're going back close to 50 years, 40 some years now. Anyways, we were at a Pennsylvania Dutch Amish market, and they had a little stand at this market. They have these little flea markets and outdoor markets. And there was a guy that was selling these. And I saw this exact sign when I was a kid. And I said, oh, I got to have it, got to have it, got to have it. So my dad said, okay, you can get a sign. Which one you want? And I said, this one. Now, what's really interesting is when I was a kid, I didn't know anything about the pentagram. I wasn't into Wicca, at least not consciously at that point. But I just was instinctively drawn to this exact sign. So back in the 1970s, I bought this sign and took it home. Well, I had a little book that came with it. It tells about, how to use it. And traditionally, these signs were put over the barns or the houses of the Amish for blessing and protection. And Eric Ferguson says, funny thing, Bob, got a purple candle with that. Was intended to support the Astros. The Astros star is on the purple candle. Astros star is Wiccan. Go figure. Oh, that's really cool. So you have a similar image. I love that. Well, so, on this, it said they go over the barn or the house. Well, my dad, back where I grew up, we had in the backyard a big shed. It was like a workshop and a tool shed. So that was kind of like my version of a barn because it was a building out in the yard, So I asked Dad, I said, Dad, I want my Pennsylvania Amish hex sign to go over your shed for protection, because when you're there working, you'll be safe. Well, my father thought that was really cool, and he put it right on above the door going into his workshop there. And so throughout all my life until I left home and my parents moved, this sign was on the shed, the tool shed, the work shed. And so I grew up with it. Well, when we moved away, I'm pretty sure, because my parents moved shortly after I got out of college and left home, I think that they took it down and took it with them. But for some reason over the years, that's been like 30 years since that happened, it's been lost. So we don't know whatever became of it. And I've never seen one since. I've looked and looked and looked for years for one of these signs. Well, I just found it recently on Etsy. And this is what's cool, is it's not similar to the one I bought. It's the exact one I bought. I found other star hex signs that look similar, but the colors are a little different. This is the exact color with the blue and the green and the reds. And I was so thrilled. And I bought it because if you try to look for it, you'll never find, you'll find star hexen, but it's hard to find this exact coloring. So I didn't care what I had to pay for it. Actually, it was kind of expensive, to be honest with you. When I first bought this in the 70s, I think we paid $3 for it. Of course, that was more money back then. But I ended up paying like $28 or $30, something. It was around 30 by the time it was all done. $30 for this, which between you and I think is highway robbery. But, it's kind of like it's an original, because the man that made these, I actually went to his shop in Pennsylvania, was Zook. He started in the 60s. You see its sign. This is an original Zook sign. See the Zook there? So that's the brand that I originally bought. And to find an original Zook sign, if you go online, look at them, they're very expensive now. So I don't think they don't make them anymore. So any ones you find are vintage. This one dates to the 1970s. The guy bought it. He said, I believe it's from the 1970s. It's an original Zook. And I looked at it, I said, oh yeah, this is an original from the 70s. Because if you lived through that time and looked at these, you would know. So anyways, I wanted to show it to you. I just thought it was kind of cool and kind of neat, you know. Moon Mother says you had to have it, so it's $30 well spent. Psychic Bob. You know, I think so, because I would kick myself to this day if I didn't buy it. So anyways, I called my mom and told her. She was so thrilled. She said, when you come down, bring it. I want to see it. Because she remembers all that and how important it was when I was a kid. So anyways, I know I'm being all nostalgic, but it's really cool. And today as a Wiccan, it has double the meaning for me, you know? But I just think, you know, there's an old saying, once a witch, always a witch. And I believe that many people who are drawn to the craft have past lives as witches. And I find it fascinating that I grew up in a household with no exposure to magic and witchcraft, and yet I just knew this was the sign. Isn't that interesting? You know, Maria Renee Steuben says, oh, wow, Psycho Bob, you're a handful of wonders. Handful of craziness, darling. Carol Pettis, Lady Carol says, that is a childhood memory and that is worth more than money. Yeah, I think so. And to have the original one. So it's like I got back, you know, because I was down at my mom's, you know, a few months ago and I said, did you guys ever find that hex sign? I've said, I would love to have it. You know, since my father passed away, we're closing out some of the things that he owned, selling some of the stuff. And I wanted this sign so it wouldn't get sold at an auction or a yard sale. And we never have found it. We think it's gone, but I got it now. So there you go. Anyways, just want to share it with you. So I thought we'd maybe do a little reading here, if you guys are open to it, from Psychic Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. Okay, this is a book that I've published. You can get this at my website, PsychicBob.com. If you like it, there's a bookstore there. Moon Mother says, that was meant for you. X said, thank you, darling. I think it was, you know. So thank you so much. And Lady Carol, you're right. It's worth more than money. I mean, if you asked me if I'd spend $30 for a little wood sign, you know, today I'd say no, but for that, it was worth it. So anyways, I'm in my witch mode today. That's why I'm wearing my witch hat, talking about things, all things Wiccan. So we're going to do a little reading. This is from page 50 of my book. It's called The Old Ways in Modern Days. Now, you need to see the artwork that goes with this. I designed all the artwork in this book. All the illustrations are my own creation. So this is one of my pictures. And this is called, it says, Standing Stones Moon Portal. That's the name of this picture. Can you guys see that? Oops, let's see, tilted that way. So there's a witch sitting before, it looks like a little Stonehenge type stone with the moon rising, and there's her cat next to her. Hey, Lady Carol, that kind of looks like you. What do you think? That's Lady Carol. I swear that's Lady Carol. Lady Carol, I think we got a picture of you there. What do you think? I just realized that. Look at that. It reminds me of Lady Carol. I think that's great. Laura Doss says, I think I've always been a witch and I never knew it. I think it came to me from past lives. Yes, I think that's very true. Lady Carol says, hey, Lord Icia, my husband paid me a visit last night. It was wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that, darling. Isn't that wonderful when they come? They do. Lady Carol, she agrees this looks like her. This, I swear to God, that is Lady Carol right there. I don't know, just for some reason, strikes me as Lady Carol. Lady Carol, I did this before I knew you. Maybe I was channeling you. You know? I think I was changed. Do y'all think that's Lady Carol? I'm telling you. That just looks like her. Look at her hair and the shape of her face and her posture. That is Lady Carol. I'm telling you, that is Lady Carol. Lady Carol, you're in the book. All right, so we're going to read from this. You need to see the picture so you can follow along here, okay? It says, the old ways in modern days. Our good witch Mabel, oh, I named her Mabel. Maybe I'll change this in the next reprint. Our good witch, Lady Carol, pauses for a rest amongst the ancient standing stones. Okay, so there she is before the stones. Her cat crouches near her, and he too knows the power of this sacred site, known simply as the Standing Stones Moon Portal. Mabel, or shall we say Lady Carol never ceases to be amazed at how the moon's silver light glints off the ancient stones, creating an almost glowing effect. The stones are a doorway between the worlds, and watching the moon through this sacred portal connects all who come here to the ancient past. There's Lady Carol with her cat. There's the moon. All right, so you got the image. All right. For Wiccans and pagans in the British Isles, who's here from Britain today? We got any British people in here? I don't see many of my British. It's kind of late in England. But anyways, I was hoping to get some British people in here, but that's okay. For Wiccans and pagans in the British Isles, the standing stones are a reality that many still find comfort in. For those of us in the United States or other colonial nations, such as Canada and Australia, Moon Mother, there's Australia for you. I got you in the book. There is usually a lack of connection to the ancient pagan ways of Europe, from where our tradition comes, as they simply don't exist or do not exist. Though most of us lack access to the ancient standing stones, we can recreate these experiences for ourselves. Where I live, the oldest mystical place is a 300-year-old oak tree in a local park. Now, you guys have been there with me to the ancient mother tree. I've claimed this as a pagan shrine and go there often to pray, meditate, and commune with the gods. The age of the tree holds wisdom, and I often reflect on how many people have passed by this tree in the last 300 years. How many people have sought shelter beneath its branches during a sudden storm? I feel the wisdom of the sacred tree, who I call now the mother tree. Explore the area where you live. What is ancient? What speaks to you of the distant past? Perhaps you have a special tree or a rock quarry near, or a special creek. Seek out an ancient place and claim it for your sacred site. So that's a reading. There's the picture again, taken from Psychic Bob's book of Wiccan Wisdom. And this is the chapter, The Old Ways in Modern Days. So I think this brings up a number of wonderful points, is that, when we talk about Wicca, the people who live in Britain kind of have a luck in that they have the ancient standing stones there. Throughout the United Kingdom, the British Isles, the Celtic Isles, they have these stones like you see in that picture. But even though we don't have it, because in America, literally the oldest thing we have is like 300 or 400 years old. We don't have that multi-thousand-year connection. But I think that even something a few hundred years old, like that mother tree, can put us really in touch with that sense of grounded history. And I think in our modern day, we get so caught up in literally trying to, catch up, to rush, to be faster, better, more, that we need the grounding power of the old. And so I'm really, I think that today the thought from this book is especially vital to all of us. We need to think about finding a place that we can call our own. Lady Carol says, I do want to go to Stonehenge one day. Me too. Do you know, Lady Carol, when I lived in England, I had a girlfriend at the time. She said, do you want to go to Stonehenge? She said, oh, I have the weekend off. I can take you anywhere you want to go. And you know what I said? No, I'm not interested in Stonehenge. I don't want to see a bunch of rocks. Not interested. Don't ask me where my head was. Okay. Today I kicked myself. I never did go to Stonehenge, and I lived in England for a whole year and never went. And I'm still mad at myself. Because in those days, it wasn't fenced off. Now they have fences up. You can go see it, but you can't go like touch the stones. And in the old days, you could literally bring a picnic basket and sit in the middle of the circle and have lunch at Stonehenge, literally around the stones. And a lot of the pagan groups used to be able to go there. They'd just show up on the full moon, do rituals. No, there was no park police or anything. And you could just do it. It's different today, but boy, I missed out on all of that, you know. Hey, Steve Taylor's here. Hello, Bob. Looking forward to your show. Hey, Steve. Well, I'm a little ways in, so you'll probably have to watch the first half hour. Anyways, but I'm glad you're here. Welcome. We did a reading, Steve, if you didn't see it, from this book, PsychicBob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. So you missed that. So make sure to go back and watch the first half if you haven't seen it. There's a lot in there, you know. Moon Mother, it wasn't your time to go there, Psychic Bob. I'm sure you will have an opportunity to go. You know, Moon Mother, I think you're right. I think had I gone, I would have missed the sacredness anyways, because I was not aware of Wicca. I didn't even know there was such a religion as Wicca until the late 1990s. And boy, I tell you, when I discovered Wicca, wow, it changed my world. I mean, you know. So, you know, many of you, you know, have discovered Wicca as well. And I'm not here only to say Wiccans are welcome at our show or anything. We have people of all faiths. But today I just do want to talk about Wicca, you know, and because it's been on my mind and heart, you know. As you know, we have the sign, as we were talking earlier about the mystical pentacle, the pentagram. I'm going to be a little political for a minute here. So if you get offended by politics, you can turn it off. But, you know, I put up my red star here, which I just love. Let me bring it down. We'll look at this. I love the red. I love stars. I just think this is cool. But for many years in America, to put up a red star, some of you are old enough to remember this. I bet you remember Lady Carol. That, you know, you didn't really show a lot of red stars in America because it was kind of associated with Russia and communism. So the red star was like Russia's symbol. And in America, if you really were into red stars and you put them around your house, people would be a little suspicious. You know, like, are you a sympathizer of communism and all? And so, you know, nowadays, you know, things are shifting. People don't really think like that because Russia is no longer the evil empire. In some ways, Russia's freer than America. So, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah, the Red Scare, Jose. Jose said the Red Scare. Yes. You know, and I had a lot of family that lived through that time. My father was a veteran and fought in the Korean War. And, you know, Russia and China was involved in backing North Korea. So the Red Star was not really something you kind of promoted. You could promote white stars because the American flag had white stars. So most people that were into stars would use white or silver or blue stars. But you didn't really see red stars. Well, you know, nowadays with China and America being a lot closer and, you know, a lot of this Cold War stuff over, a lot of Chinese, this is actually made in China. So it's probably, could be a communist red star, you know, because it came from China. Somewhere it said made in China. I think the sticker fell off. So in China, they might put this up to celebrate communism or their, you know, form of liberation or whatever, you know. Lady Carol says they stopped selling them for a long time. Yeah, they didn't. You didn't really see it. But anyways, now they're back. And one of the reasons I keep it up is, you know, I did a whole video on the red star. And I just think they're cool. I love the color red. I like all the colors, but I love red stars too. I just think they look cool. But there's been a political situation that's happened at YouTube recently. Somebody here brought it up to me. I thought it was Brandon, but whoever it was, if you're here, let me know. You know, but nowadays on YouTube, your video will be removed and you'll be demonetized and possibly have your channel shut down if you speak against communism or the Chinese Communist Party. I thought this was a joke and I checked it out and it really is true. YouTube is now censoring you. I can come on YouTube, say, promote communism, wear big communist shirts, wear and a big red stars, and YouTube will love me and promote me. I found out that Google has been doing a lot of business deals with China, and particularly the Chinese government, which is run by the Communist Party. And so it's sad. Hey, Ian, good to see you. IA's here. Yay. And so now it's like okay to be communist in America, I suppose. It's funny because if I go on YouTube and I wear a Donald Trump shirt, YouTube will censor me. If I go on and wear a Communist Party membership shirt, YouTube will promote me. And it's sad, but this is the reality we're living in. Even if you like communism, if you study communism, let me just say this. As an ideology, communism has its merits, okay? If you actually study it, it sounds really good on paper. I've read Karl Marx's book. But the truth is, my personal belief is in practice, it is impractical. And communism denies the reality of the human spirit because it is officially materialistic in atheism. And so I find it very sad that YouTube would censor me for speaking against communism, but promote me for speaking for communism. And as a spiritual teacher, I think it's very sad because if you study the history of what actually went on in China, people such as myself under the Chinese regime have been locked up in prison and executed. One of the first things that Chairman Mao did when he went through China was he closed all the monasteries. He arrested the priests of the Buddhists. There were a lot of Buddhist and Taoist priests. A lot of them were taken away to internment camps. A lot were executed. And to this day, if I move to China, which China actually has also, I'm not trying to be totally negative, China has some really cool stuff going on. They're really growing as a country. But the one area where they haven't really grown is in terms of freedom of religion. Not that much, really, because Falun Gong is still shut down and is illegal. And if I moved to China and set up a Wiccan temple, I would be arrested. They only allow religions that the Chinese government pre-approves. And anything that is spiritualist or mystical is banned in China. So YouTube aligning with that makes me very sad. So I guess I'm going to keep my red star up because from YouTube standards, they'll look at it and say, oh, look, a communist sympathizer. And it will keep my channel going. IA says, Freud said that the people will unconsciously fall in line due to fear rather than logic and spirituality. That is amazing, IA. Fascinating. Wow, Freud is amazing. I can't wait till my book gets here. Ian is so, IA is in our chat. IA is sending me a book on Freud, and it should be here very soon. So I'm very excited about that. So we're going to definitely talk about Freud. Maybe Ian and I could have you on for a Sunday show one day. We could talk about that. Would you be interested in that if you're open to it? Anyways, think about that. So anyways, the reason I'm bringing it up is that nowadays when I'm looking at my red star with the recent announcements from YouTube about that, if you speak against communism, you'll be censored. I find that really disturbing. I find it very disturbing. But, we got to just roll with it. So we'll keep up the red star. You and I know what the real meaning of the red star is. Let YouTube believe what they want. So we'll just let the red star be up. We'll keep China happy. We'll keep the Wiccans happy. Everybody's happy. How's that? Anyways, I just wanted to, bring that up. I usually don't get political, but this does directly affect all of us. Oh, Ann, yes, thank you for saying that. Ann Allen says, Trump signed a bill yesterday that is supposed to make it more fair, free speech-wise. Yes, I want to talk about that. Now, that's also controversial, and I'm not asking you to support Trump. I think it's no real secret here that I am sympathetic to Trump for a lot of reasons. But, and I'm not saying you have to like him. But what's interesting is the tech companies that are doing all this censorship. YouTube's tried to shut me down because I'm too, and by their view, I'm too conservative because I believe in God and goddess. I believe in spirit, and they prefer I promote atheism. Literally, they've told me that. But what Anna's talking about, Trump yesterday, Twitter tried to ban Trump and block his tweets because they think that he's a danger because he's politically conservative. Well, Trump wasn't having none of that because he did not break any guidelines. And so when they tried to put the block on Twitter had the audacity to actually put the block on the president of the United States, one of the biggest tweeters. Whether you like Trump or not, it's still the president. I thought that would take a lot of audacity. Well, Trump decided, you know what? I'm not having none of this. His idea was like, no, we're not doing this. He today or yesterday enacted an executive order that is opening new regulations for online companies. He's got the Attorney General of the United States involved because basically what they're saying is that they can now document and evidence that conservatives are being harassed and limited and free speech denied on social media. And they're taking it from the place that this is a constitutional right and a violation of our constitutional rights. And yes, Moon Mother says it's all about a controlled narrative. Yes. And so Trump is like, no, you're not controlling the narrative in a free platform. See, part of it, they've got them on a legal situation because when you register your company and you go public, there's certain guidelines you have to meet. And YouTube and Twitter and all of these big tech companies have listed themselves in legal documents as open platforms, as open forums, which is a different sort of filing than a publishing company. And so what Trump and the Attorney General are saying is they're acting as publishers, which are different filings and different structures. And therefore, they're breaking the law by their behavior. It's a little more complex than that. I'm making it a little more simple than it is, but that's the gist of it. And so Trump said, I saw his speech, and I recommend you watch it, even if you hate Trump, and I know a lot of you do, but if you hate Trump, I want you to watch it anyways from an objective place, because one of the things he said in yesterday's video, I'll try to put the link to that video below here after this processes. But the thing that he said is he said, if we are really going to be a free society, then we have to allow all opinions, whether you like them or not. Because he said, if we start down the path of censorship, we lose our democracy, we lose our freedom. And he said, you don't have to agree with the opinions, but you do have to let them be. And so, story time with T, I'm not claiming that Trump is the most honorable person, but I think we have to give him a chance as a president. That's my view. As somebody who is a targeted individual, I support Trump simply because he is not part of the problem. He is not participating in the targeting. And anyways, I won't get into all that, but, I think calling him absolutely horrible is a little unfair because there's a lot of good that he does as well, story time. I just want you to consider that he may not be as bad as you think. I'm not saying he's a saint, okay? I'm not here praising Trump. But I think that in this one area, in terms of freedom of speech, he's doing well. And I support the president on his recent executive order. Now, if you hate me for saying that, want to unsubscribe, then just go. I'm not here to try to appease anybody. I'm tired of playing politics. So I'm just going to tell it like it is. I support his action. And if that makes you want to unsubscribe, I'm sorry, but it helps all of us. If you want Psychic Bob, if you love me and you want me to be part of your world, because I love all of you, you know. I just ask you to consider it, okay? Because the truth is that I am one of the things that the Attorney General is investigating is they're looking to see if there were lists created by these tech companies that show the people that are banned and directions. They're doing investigation now. Now, I know that I was put on a list by YouTube's direction, so my videos hardly get distributed. If the Attorney General can uncover and show this, we may all have a legal leg to stand on, because a lot of careers, a lot of people, myself included, my entire career runs through YouTube. You don't see it in the numbers that are shown, but I do have a far reach through YouTube, and it does support me and sustain me. And, whether you agree with Trump or not, his action allows people like me to be alive, and to have a voice. And I know that I may not be as far on the left as a lot of people, but I'm certainly not a bigot. I'm not anti-LGBT. I'm not, racist. I'm not against freedom. I'm not I'm just not. So, whether you love Trump or not, just try to consider that for this one area, just this one thing, if nothing else, I think he's done really good. And I'm excited for what this will bring for all of us who are YouTubers. All of you are affected by that, Oops, hold on. Somebody just said something. Steve Taylor said, agree with your views, Bob. Proud of you for standing up for freedom of speech. Thank you. That's what I'm about. I'm about liberty. Whoever's promoting liberty, they got my vote, and so again, I'm not trying to side with the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I don't really support either of them. I used to be a Democrat. I'm just going to be honest with you, but I withdrew from the Democratic Party because some of their policies were supporting some of the actions like YouTube was carrying out, Cause of Liberty Tarot says, when YouTube censors, they affect our ability to make a living. That's horrible. When they silence someone simply due to disagreement. I agree, Storytime with T says, you can support Trump and love everyone, but at the end of the day, nobody can give examples of why they love Trump that makes sense for him to be our president. Storytime, I'm going to disagree with you on that. And I say that respectfully because I love you and I'm not trying to argue with you. But let me just tell you why I like Trump. Trump is not bought by outside influence. He has so much wealth that he's here to help the people. It might help you to know, Storytime with T, that Trump actually has in his businesses been very pro-LGBT and supports workers' rights, and himself has a lobby in the LGBT community that he supports and that support him. So I just want to put that out there because a lot of people think he's anti-LGBT, and I've actually seen him sit down and talk about his support for the LGBT community. So I want to put that out there because that's not really being said. He is not anti-gay, anti-transgender, anti-liberal, lesbian. He's not any of that, And another reason why I love Trump is that he's a businessman. And Storytime with you, this is not to sound ageist. I'm not trying to be mean, but I grew up, I'm a lot older than a lot of people on my channel. I grew up in a time where I watched America's decline. I lived through the 60s, through the 80s, when America sold out a lot of our company to China and to foreign companies. I watched factories close when I was a kid. I watched my family and relatives lose jobs. And as many of you know, I collect fine crystal and glass, okay? There are no glass companies in America anymore, no serious ones, no big giant ones. All the glass companies were closed because of foreign competition. I'm all for open market, but what happened is that many of our businesses were destroyed in unfair trade deals. And I watched America's decline. And the America that a lot of the younger people are growing up in is very different than the America I grew up in. We used to have a lot of prosperity. Growing up, my family, we were not wealthy people, but my parents were working class people. And we owned 2 houses. We had 4 cars. We had money in the bank. We traveled and whenever we weren't rich, but America was structured in a way that you could actually make good money with just one income. And both of my parents worked, so we made a lot more money back then. But today, 2 people working hardly gets you ahead because America has lost. I'm on a diatribe here, so forgive me if I'm offending you, but I'm just answering the question. America has lost our skills, our wages, our jobs to foreign competition because they've let in a lot of illegal immigrants who have taken the jobs, and a lot of corporations have sold out. Do you know my father was a skilled carpenter and he made very good money? I think my father was probably making like $50 or $60 an hour. And back in the 70s and 80s, that was a lot of money. Today, the same job only pays about $12 for a carpenter. Why? Because foreign labor has come in and undercut the workforce and lowered the wage base. And so I know I'm being political and a lot of people are going to be angry, but I've got to answer it, okay? And so I speak from a perspective why I support Trump is that I've seen what's happened to America. And Trump, when he talks about it, is telling the truth. Now, I'm not saying he's the most moral person, that he doesn't have attitude towards people or do things that are offensive. I'm not saying that. I won't hold him up as a saint. But when I look at Trump, he's trying to make America great because he wants to build back industry and build jobs. And if we would let him do it, we'd see it. And I think that this legislation that he's passed is a step in the right direction to build up business. My business will grow now because the blocks will have to be taken off. I have a chance because of that. So I speak, I'm not saying you have to love Trump or listen to me on that, but I'm just answering why I support. People get angry. I get a lot of hate mail whenever I talk about Trump. People write me letters, they unsubscribe from my channel. That's okay, But I think that in an open democracy, we should be mature enough to have a discussion. And I say that because I find, and this is not directed at any of you, so don't anybody take this personally, but there are a lot of younger people that are on the side of the left who want to shut down conversation. And they'll say, you're wearing a Trump t-shirt triggers me. You're offensive, therefore you must be banned. Whether it's a social media platform, whether it's I'm kicked out of my local library or town meeting hall. And this happens. I one day wore a Trump shirt and I was actually asked to leave a restaurant. This was a few years ago. I never talked about it on YouTube because I thought I would get in trouble, which I probably would have. So I never told anybody about this, So Cat's Wild Ride says, if you want to be nice, don't get into politics. I agree. I am not a political. I'm not going to be here every day talking about politics and preaching. I'm only doing this today because of the current event is affecting. The only reason I'm talking is because I'm directly impacted by the actions now, And so, I'm happy with what's happening, and you should be too. If you like Psychic Bob being here, if you like Psychic Bob being here, this action by Trump allows me a chance, So, anyways, so I don't want to start a fight in the chat. Let's not fight. But I think this is significant. It has to be discussed. If I were really into politics, I'd be over here every day talking about this bill and that bill. I'm not interested in that. I'm all about spirit. But I can't do my work if my hands are tied. And the current state of climate at YouTube is really tying my hands on so many levels. Okay? Yes, Brandon, I agree. Spirituality, not religion. I heard a saying once. Somebody might have said it here. Forgive me if I don't quote you properly or recognize you. But I heard it said once that religion is for those who are afraid of going to hell. And spirituality is for those who have already been there. So I think there is truth in that. So Brandon, I agree with you. Yes, spirituality. So anyways, we're going to keep Spirit Channel all about spirituality. So don't worry, I'm not going to be here politicking every day. I only brought it up because, as I said, this is a chance for me to start to have some freedom. I've been very silent through the censorship. I've played the game. I've done whatever's been asked of me. But I haven't been happy about it. I haven't been happy about it. And so until YouTube removes their strictures about being, criticism against communism, I'm going to keep up my red star because, we got to play the game still. I don't know how far Donald Trump's executive order is reaching at this point. It may have more machinations to go through, till it's more strong. So for right now, we got to still play the game. Shadowlander says, yo, Bob, I agree with you. I grew up in the 90s, or is it the 80s? I can't see on my glasses. Economic and political weather has changed, even from the way it was in the 90s. Yeah, so, I'm not imagining this. And when the president comes on television and says, let's make America great again, those of us who lived through that period of watching the decline of America, we remember. And this is why I think it's hard for a lot of younger people today to understand where is he coming from. Because people say, what do you mean make America great again? America's great. America has great points. I'm not anti-American, but a lot has changed and it's not the same. Do you know when I grew up, you could do anything you want and say it. Nowadays, if I come on here and say anything, police could show up at my door. We never had times like that. We didn't have targeted individuals. If you don't know what that is, you need to look it up. I'm not going to go into that today. That didn't exist in America. But I'm meeting thousands of people now that are being targeted. I have good reason to believe, and I won't go into details, but there are ties to the targeting program through some of the leftists in our government. I'm not naming parties or names, but I have good reason for, as many of you know, I know a lot of people and I have evidence of things that have occurred, which I cannot discuss here. And so I've stepped out of the whole political arena. I am not a Republican. People say, well, Bob, become a Republican. No, I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. And I'm not even a libertarian at this point. I'm just simply an observer of times, So anyways, hey, Storytime. Storytime says, I love you, Bob, too. And I love conversations like this, but I highly disagree. And that's okay. We can disagree. That's what's good. Let's talk about it. I don't mind disagreeing, but let's be friends about it. Be civil. The goal of this world is to help each other be on the same mindset as the spirit world. Trump doesn't act like an adult. Okay, I get your point there. And I agree. Sometimes Trump doesn't act like an adult. Okay. And I do believe we should all evolve to a more spiritual place. And I think that's why, I'm not going to side with any specific party. I'm not joining the Democratic Party. I'm not siding with the Republican. I'm not siding with the Communist Party or the Socialist parties. Because I think that when you get caught up in an ideology, you limit your options, Eric Ferguson says, Bob, it has been tough on me. Been Mormon for 29 plus years, and then to change from the beliefs and habits, etc., has been crazy. I still catch myself in it. Hard to unlearn and train my brain in new ways. Eric, I get that, I get that. I think it's, when you come out of any form of extremism, whether right extremism or left extremism, because each political ideology has an extreme. And I know that the Mormon church is very conservative. I mean, well, I won't get into all that, but it's very conservative. And so, Eric, what I'm saying is I get it. And the Wiccan faith and the spiritualist movement tends to be on the liberal side. And so I find myself, like you, Eric, sometimes in a quandary. I swing between conservatism and liberalism. So they each have their good points and their bad points. I think overall, I'm what I would call classical liberal. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe everybody should do what they want, marry who you want, sleep with who you want, believe whatever you want spiritually. That's what I'm about. So is that liberal or conservative? I don't know. Each camp claims part of that. So anyways. Christian Druid 1313 says they took away free speech. Yes, they did. And that's what Donald Trump's trying to fix. So whether you love him or not, I ask you just to understand that Psychic Bob today is very pleased with what's happening because I at least feel that I have a chance at a voice again. Cause of Liberty Tarot says, I'm a liberal and conservative. Stay out of our bedrooms and out of our wallets. I think I'm in alignment with you, Cause of Liberty Tarot. I like that. Lady Carol says, we are humans who make mistakes in life. That's why we are here. So hold on, I just lost it, Carol. So everyone has a lesson to learn, even in politics. Remember, life is a journey. Lady Carol, you said it just nicely, perfectly. Thank you. Story time with T, I like that. You said, I just want to help people. I'm not on anyone's side. I just want to point out the obvious that morals are everything. I agree with you on that. See, we can agree on that. Story time with T, I want to just acknowledge you today because I know where you stand on the political side. And sometimes you and I are at polar opposites. And that's okay. I admire you for being here and sharing your voice and not running away. Because what I find is when I do dare to walk into this minefield, and it is a minefield, some people get mad and they just run away from the conversation and just sign off. And you've actually stood here and listened to me, even though on some things you vehemently disagree. I think it takes a lot of courage for you to stand and stay your point and be open to hearing my point. See, this is where I have trouble with a lot of the modern liberalism today. Is that on college campuses, and some of you are in college, they're actually banning speakers based on their political viewpoint. So for example, if it's known that I wore a Trump t-shirt one time and got banned, let's say I get invited to a college campus to go speak on Wicca. Well, all it takes is for one person to dig up my video where I admit to doing that, and the university said, oh, we didn't know he supported Trump at one time. Can't have him as a speaker. Even though I'm not coming to speak on Trump, I'm coming to speak on Wicca. That alone, in many of the more leftist colleges, would have me banned. See, so why I challenge the left. I'll say, it's okay to have your view. It's okay to have your opinions. But why do you feel the need to shut me down? The left wants to control the dialogue in many cases and silence it. We see Antifa, okay, showing up at different things. I am against Antifa. I don't care if I offend anybody when I say that. But Antifa is being backed by the Communist Party. And they call anybody who supports Trump a fascist. Because I publicly said that I support the president, if an Antifa member sees this video, they could come after me. And they're violent. They kill people just for believing that, Cause of Liberty Tarot says, I wear a Trump t-shirt on my channel, and I'd be the first person to stand right there with anyone who has suffered injustice. I like that. I have not worn a Trump t-shirt because at one point YouTube was getting so extreme that would get me banned. And actually, when I did wear my Trump t-shirt, one time I did wear a Trump t-shirt accidentally here, and I forgot, and I didn't even think about it. I wasn't even talking about Trump. I got people that actually wrote to YouTube. They told me that they were filing legal action that I should be shut down for fascism. You see, there's a lot that goes in the background around Psychic Bob y'all never see. But yeah, I got contacted by YouTube's attorneys one time because somebody filed a formal legal complaint accusing me of being a fascist. I'm the furthest thing from a fascist. But see, this is the danger that we're running into now, is that people want to silence any alternative view. And I find it strange that those who claim to be liberal are the first to silence me or try to destroy my livelihood simply for a t-shirt. Anyways, I didn't mean to get all into politics. I want to talk more about Wicca today, but you know, it's there. It is what it is, you know? Oh, you saw that video? Oh my gosh. Cause of Liberty says, I saw your Trump shirt on your channel. I really like that. But I thought I took that video down. Maybe I didn't. But anyways, I was threatened and YouTube didn't do anything, but a formal complaint was filed against me. And they filed some sort of legal brief against me. And I was accused of advocating fascism and extremism. You know? Icking 456 says, nobody should be prosecuted for supporting any president they want. I agree. Carolina R says, you don't have to apologize for anything, Psychic Bob. Well, thank you, Carolina. You know, I try to be, you know, as a spiritual teacher, I view that my job here is to teach spirituality. You know, the world is coming and going all the time. Politics are changing. That's the temporary reality. And let's talk about what's eternal, what's real, you know? Stranger Things 77 says, the only political thing I didn't like was Brexit. Okay. Britain has a lot of politics going on as well. And so, yeah, I follow a lot of the British political stuff simply because I live there. I consider England my second home, you know. Thank you so much, Brandon. Brandon Ricketts says, it makes me mad that they attack you, Bob. You're such a nice, genuine person. Thank you. You know, Brandon, I'm going to, not to brag, but I am a genuine person. Everybody that meets me in person says, oh my God, Bob, you're just like you are on YouTube. And the truth is, I don't put on an act. I don't come here like, now I'm Psychic Bob and I'm going to put on an act. Everything you see me say and do here, I do in real life. I actually walk around in real life wearing witch hats like this. This isn't just something I only wear for YouTube. I do, you know? And I tell you, I've met a number of famous YouTubers, way bigger than me. And I'll tell you, some of them have come to me for readings. And it shocks me because some of them, and I cannot say who they are, but some of them are not who you think they are. And when you meet them in person, they're very, very different people, and not always in a good way. And it became very apparent when one famous YouTuber came to see me one time. He was nothing like his on-screen personality. And I didn't even hardly feel like I recognized him. He was so different in terms of all his energy. And I thought, I don't ever want to be like that. I don't want to be here and be a performer. I'm here as a spiritual teacher, which means I got to keep it real. Cause of Liberty Terror says, I've watched your channel for years. You are the kindest and most kind and genuine person I've seen on YouTube. Thank you. I am genuine. Eric Ferguson wrote, in the Wiccan spiritualist belief, I was a missionary for the Mormon church. Since I changed my belief position, is there a punishment, karma, for guiding people to a path I believed to be right? You know, Eric, no, don't hold on to that fear. Even though the Mormon church I think has it wrong on a lot of points. And though I think in many cases the Mormon church damages people, my personal belief, not attacking anybody here, it's Mormon, my personal belief, and I can justify that if you really want to know why I say that, but we won't get into that today. But if you need to know why I say that and you're offended, I'll explain it to you. Eric, I want you to consider this. At the time when you were a missionary, by the way, I actually like most of the Mormon missionaries. They're actually kind of cool. I've spent time talking to a lot of them. And they're kind of cool people. But the thing is, Eric, that at that time, you were following what you believed to be true. And you were doing it from a place of sincerity. And the people that you led down that path were supposed to go that path. Because many of us here have gone different spiritual paths and then changed to spiritualist, Wiccan, whatever you want to call it, outside, New Age beliefs, outside traditional religion. And Eric, the people that went those paths were meant to go those paths. So you actually helped people because what you did was you allowed people to find their next step. Now, a lot of them may have found a great home in Mormonism, and the Mormon church does have some really good aspects, and also some very bad aspects. But the thing is, Eric, what I want you to think about is when you did that, you helped them get to where they needed to be. And in time, they may have stayed with it and loved it, because I know Mormons who truly love the church, and they have good reason to love the church. But they may have also grown beyond it as you had. And it doesn't matter because ultimately our souls guide us to where we need to be. So don't feel bad. You didn't do any bad karmic stuff because you were working from the highest self and the highest truth that you knew. So that's all good. And if somebody came to me and said, well, I'm going to join the Mormon church today and said, well, should I join the Mormon church? I would say, do you want to join? What do you feel? What is it about it that draws you to Mormonism? They would say, well, I believe the Book of Mormon. I believe this. I believe that. I believe that. And I said, that's okay. So explore that. Go with it and see where it takes you. Now, if they said to me, well, do you think it's a good idea? I would say, I think there are challenges that many people encounter once they're inside Mormonism. And I think that you would find things that you would probably come up against that would surprise you or disturb you. Does that mean it's an evil religion? No. It may be misguided, I think, in some ways. I think all religions have their challenges, even Wicca. So, Eric, why I'm saying this to you, I don't want you to get hung up on that. You didn't do anything bad. In fact, you did good. And so now you're at your next stage of growth and evolution. You see, that's how that works. Anyways, good question. Cool Games for You said Wicca is getting publicity. Yes, I heard that Wicca is now one of the fastest growing religions in the United States, which makes me I have mixed feelings about it. One, I'm really happy because the craft changed my life so much and helped me. But in another way, when a religion becomes really popular, it also draws people that just want to do it as an image thing. And, I'd hate to see Wicca degraded to just a bunch of wannabes flashing around with daggers in their hands thinking they're cool. I think that the sacredness of the craft, I think it's calling to a lot of people because people want a real spirituality, Icking 456. My party slogan is, yes, Wiccan. I like that. I got to do the census. I shouldn't say this on air, but I forgot to do the census here in the States. So I got to do that still. It's over on my table there. I've been looking at it. But I don't know if it has a section on religion. I hope it does because I'd like to put down Wiccan on it. Have any of you done the census and know that if they're asked about religion? Because I'd like to promote Wicca on that. Storytime with T says, love is part of the definition of God. God is a label. We're always talking about love, but there are many things we don't understand. Being patient and listening to views of others in a nice way is love. I like that story time. I think that's wonderful. I agree with you. And I'm glad that you stayed with us through a difficult discussion today, you know. Lady Carol says, I believe every religion is a step on life's treadmill. You have to run a few miles to see what it's about. That is so true, isn't it? So, Eric, I want you to think about that. Lady Carol said some truth there. Well, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap this up for today because I have to go do some other stuff tonight, more meetings. So I'm not doing readings today. We'll do that on Sunday. By the way, that's what I want to tell you. Be here, please be here 7 p.m. Eastern U.S. time on Sunday because we're going to have a wonderful guest on, Mary Beth Decker. She's been here before, but it's been a while. She's a wonderful pet psychic. And she is going to be here to talk about her work as a pet psychic. We'll do a few readings. Bring your questions about your pets or animals or anything like that. I mean, we'll do some other readings too, but I'd like us to kind of think about pets and their connection spiritually and focus on that for this Sunday. So prepare some good questions for Mary Beth because, you know, it's rare that we get somebody that great here, you know. ALL says, I would like to see you do a hold on, AL, I want to read that. I would like to see you do a 4-hour session to just ask Q&As or just chit chat. I probably will do that again soon. I will do a session just to ask questions about things and about my life. We will do that. So yes, AL, don't let me forget. We will get to that. Anyways, you're welcome, Eric. Eric says, thanks for awesome knowledge and opinions. I always refreshing about. Well, thank you, Eric. Thanks for being here. So Kim Osborne, yay, says, I can't wait. Yeah, so, all right, so here's our schedule, what we've got going forward. So tomorrow is Saturday. We'll have our Saturday seance, depending on how I feel, because I'm still healing from my back. I don't know if I'm going to do a channeling tomorrow or another type of seance, maybe a scrying. It just depends on how I feel, because it takes a lot of energy. So we may have we will have something tomorrow, but it may not be a big, complex, long seance. It may be a little shorter because I'm trying to conserve my energy for my back. It's healing. I'm not 100% yet. But make sure, check back and see what we got. By the way, I need your help. Please, after this video processes and you see it on your channel, go back, thumbs up, like it, favorite, put some comments. Help me promote this. With Donald Trump opening the doors of freedom, hopefully, I'm going to need you guys to help push me out because for so long, so many people haven't been able to see me. And I really count on the publicity to make everything go. So I appreciate that. You guys rock. So anyways, I'm going to sit back, wear my white witch hat. Looks nice now. It's getting a little darker. It's glowing. Ooh, witch hat. And meditate on life. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are great. Thanks for being open to my discussion. Thank you for agreeing to disagree and still being peaceful. I think your civility today speaks volumes of your maturity and your spirituality. And I, for one, appreciate it. Maybe some people will just unsubscribe. I hope not. Let's not go there. Let's take it on the positive. So thank you for your patience and your interest and your opinions. Anyways, so be back here tomorrow. We'll have some sort of seance. And I'll see you then. I love you guys. Blessed be to all of you. And I'm checking out. Party on. See you tomorrow.